Hi, this is my first drawing video on YouTube. I decided to do the draw your 6 favorite characters challenge that I found on TikTok. But yeah, it did take quite a while to draw each character, probably like an hour to 2 for each one, but it was worth in the end because it turned out really cute. So the first character that I decided to do, which is for current favorite, is Civica from Arcane. And I'll be honest, I was debating between two current favorites, which was, Civica and then this one character, Sagiri from Hell's Paradise, which, by the way, I absolutely recommend you watch it because it has very similar vibes to Hunter x Hunter. It's super cool. But yeah, it was either her or Civica, and I decided that I feel like Civica was more fun to draw for this, so I decided to go with Civica, but I still absolutely love Sagiri. Either way, I can't really give you a specific reason why Civica is my current favorite. It's just everything about her is just really cool, and I love her. I don't know, feeling as a character and her relationship with Jinx, I think it's really cute. And I'll be honest, I do prefer her character in the second season than I do in the first season, just because I feel like she's more put together in the second season, and honestly, I don't know, I feel like she's more cool. But either way, yeah, I also get so many edits of her on TikTok and Instagram Reels, and every time I see one, it's just so it's amazing, it's so cool, and I really enjoy them a lot. So yeah, this one, this drawing in particular, was actually one of the easier ones I did. It only took about an hour, which was really nice. And I think the only issue I might have had was with her eyes, because one was bigger than the other, but I ended up solving that. But yeah, the rendering went smooth, and also when I draw a character from a reference, I always kind of incorporate that style of the show into my own style. So you'll see that as I draw different characters, but I incorporated a little bit of the Arcane style with her, just to make it still look like Civica. But yeah, I was happy with how this one turned out. So the next character that I did was my comfort character, and for me it was easily Amber from Genshin Impact. And I'm gonna be quite honest, I have not touched that game in about a year, just because it hasn't looked all that appealing, but I've been meaning to get back into it for a while. Either way, Amber, I mean, I picked up the game like first week it launched, and so when I first came across Amber, I honestly was not wowed by her, and I honestly kind of found her a little annoying just because like of how weak she was. But I think about like later when I started to play, I would say like by the second update I was probably already using her. I can tell you for sure I was definitely using her by like around February, because I know I had Zhongli at the time, and I've mained Zhongli ever since I got him on his first banner. But I decided that like, wouldn't it be fun to like try to build a really like weak character? And so I kind of like had Amber on my team for a very long time, trying to like build her, and I had like Amos bow, so I tried to like have that on her to see how strong I could make her. And honestly, the more I had her on my team building her, the more I just found out how absolutely adorable she was. And like she's just so cute, like from her like little high-pitched voice to like the way her like ear, I don't know what you call those, like the fabric on the top of her head, it's like a bow, the way it just kind of like flops up and down when she like jumps or like walks, it's adorable. And honestly, her damage, I was able to get her damage to about like a charge shot is about like 40,000 to 60,000, which I'm quite proud of, because you know, for her character I feel like it's really good. And I feel like I could make it even better if I honestly had some of her constellations, which I do not have a single one, which is insane. But either way, you know, Genshin Impact was something I was like super heavy on in like quarantine, and I guess like Amber is still just like a part of that for me. And like, she's just still, I don't know, she's kind of like a memory of that. And I remember having like kind of an obsession with her almost. But yeah, her and Zhongli are almost always on my team, because those are the two I mostly main. And even though she still doesn't make like the best damage compared to other characters I have, she's still just adorable. And I'm honestly still waiting for like an outfit to be able to use on her. But yeah, I will say that this took about an hour and 30 minutes, which was a lot longer than I expected, because it was like, I don't know, less detailed than Civica. But I think most of the minutes went into drawing her goggles, which was an absolute pain, because I'm kind of like a perfectionist and I couldn't get them right, and it was just bothering me. But in the end I figured it out, and it turned out fine. Not my favorite, but definitely turned out nice. So yeah. So the next character that I did was for my favorite design character, and for this one I decided to do Kusuryuri from Mononoke, which is like a psychological horror, and it's about this guy that goes ahead and like kills yokai, which are evil Japanese spirits, and it's probably one of my favorite animes that I've ever seen. It's definitely one of those complex ones that you have to pay attention to very closely because it can get super confusing at times, and honestly I've been meaning to go back and rewatch it all just because I remember when I first watched it in 2020 it was still pretty confusing in some certain parts, but either way it's really beautiful. I still have 3 episodes to go left of it, even though I started it in 2020. It's just I didn't want it to end, so that's a problem. But I've been meaning to go back to it, and I'm pretty sure there was a movie just announced, or that it's gonna come out, or that it just came out, but I will definitely be watching that. But what I love about this main character is that even though he, obviously is the main character, the entire time you spend just, with him, you end up still not knowing anything about this character, and he's just a complete mystery, and I don't know, it just makes it so intriguing, and I absolutely love it. The cool thing about him is that he has this sword, and I'm pretty sure when he uses a certain ability of it, he transforms into this completely different alternate design, and I absolutely just love that alternate design. It's like his face paint, I'm pretty sure, turns white or gold, and he has this long white hair, and I'm pretty sure he's like taller and much more buff, and he has this tan skin, and like there is I'm pretty sure like there's cloth draped on his like shoulder, and he's like doesn't have as much clothing, but either way it's super cool, and I love how you get like multiple designs from it. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't know if it's just how the cloths are layered, or I'm pretty sure it's probably the colors, in all honesty, but he's just so appealing to look at, and his character, I mean, you never see him struggle ever. I'm pretty sure he actually did struggle in a side series that's not related, or that is related to the show, but that's separate from the show. But either way, he's super like calm and collected, and I love the way he just goes around and like helps, I don't know, not necessarily helps, but he goes around and kills these yokai and dispels them from people who are struggling or that are completely messed up, because there are some really messed up characters in that show. But yeah, the CGI is beautiful and the animation's amazing, and I really love how they have this texture constantly used in the back of it, where it's like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like crumpled up paper, kind of similar to the texture of like traditional Japanese canvases and whatnot. But yeah, I really loved it. I will say that this design took me about 2 hours, which was really frustrating, but it came out nice, and it was probably like one of my favorites, probably my favorite, honestly. But I will say that I struggled really bad. You can't see it now, but I struggled really badly with the pendant on his chest, which is kind of like the sun design. It's just I couldn't get it to have that kind of spherical shape, and it wasn't symmetrical, and it was annoying, but I figured it out, and it turned out cute, so yeah. So the next character that I did was my favorite character by plot, and I decided to do a character from Elden Ring, and I chose Vade, which is basically the character that you first, or NPC that you first meet when you go out into Limgrave. And the funny thing is that there isn't too much lore about him, but everything that I've heard about him so far is really intriguing, and it kind of is almost like a mystery, and it does make me sad that he does die. I mean, you can choose to invade his world and kill him, but if you go by the plotline, he technically does die, which is upsetting, but either way, I think he's really cool. So basically, he is this, as far as I know, war surgeon, and he was abducted by Lord Mohg, which is basically just a bad guy, one of the major bosses in the game, and Vade was special in the fact that I think he could do something, or I think he could tame cursed blood, and that's what Mohg had, and so Mohg specifically really loved Vade. When you first meet Vade in the game, he just insults you. You don't really know anything about him, but I just love the sass, so that's my first impression of him. And then when you start to follow his quest line, he makes you do all these ritualistic things, and then later on he tries to get out of you like something related to Mohg to see if you're like a follower, and then he reveals that he himself is a disciple, and he gives you this medal, and he's like, request a audience with Mohg if you use this. And then when you go to Mohg's palace, you can find Vade and invade his world, and you kill him, and then he's on the floor like bleeding out, asking Mohg for his, the promise he gave him, or everlasting love. And of course Mohg doesn't, he just used him, and it's sad. But either way, it's not a very complex lore, but I really love the lore. I don't know, it's very minimalistic, and I like it, and I wish I could know more about him, just because, I don't know, he's just really cool, and his design also is super cool. I will say that I haven't gotten the guts to kill him yet in the game, just because it's gonna make me feel bad, but I really do want his mask, just because there is some certain, charm about it. This was actually about an hour long. It wasn't that bad. I did enjoy drawing out the blood. I thought that was kind of fun, just because I feel like I don't do that much. I will say that his face turned out longer here, and I did fix it with the liquify tool later. You don't see me do that here, but I did, and so it's not as long. But yeah, he's a really cool character, and I absolutely love Elden Ring lore. I could watch so many videos on just Elden Ring, and I would enjoy it so much. But yeah, this was fun to do. So the character that I did for my guilty favorite is Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8. And I feel like I don't need to explain why she's my favorite or guilty favorite. I'll leave that there, but really her design is probably like one of the most memorable ones for me. I think it's really just that really, I don't know, brings it all in together. And I mean, the volume of it just adds so much to her design, and I just really love, I don't know, this is not the right word, but the aura in her character, just because it's almost like Civica. She has a very strong, prominent presence, but then at the same time, it's like, it's almost seductive, which makes sense because she's supposed to be this kind of vampire lady, and she pulls it off so well. I will say that it's very disappointing to see that she dies in Resident Evil 8, just because I feel like she had more potential and I feel like the game kind of underutilized that potential. But either way, and I also kind of wish she didn't turn into a dragon. I feel like that, I mean, it was cool, but I wanted her. But yeah, this drawing only took an hour, which was nice. Also, I think that's due to the fact that I used a few Clip Studio assets in this one. I used like a rose, and I just made it a black with, I think, color binarization. I don't know if I said that right. And then I used a pearl brush just to make my life easier. I also did not draw the pendant that comes off her pearls, just because too much detail. I didn't want to deal with it, so I kind of slacked off on that. But yeah, the Resident Evil games are probably up there in like my top 5 favorite, with like Elden Ring. I don't know, I feel like Resident Evil 8 was not as scary as Resident Evil 7. It definitely wasn't. It was still good, and I definitely liked the feeling they built up within, you know, Lady Dimitrescu's castle, and then Donna's area. That was good because that was actually pretty terrifying. But all the other places they kind of did was not, I don't know, I felt like it just didn't make sense. I can't remember his name, but the guy with the hammer, like, I felt like that was dragged on for way too long, and it just made no sense, like, if you compared it to the beginning of the game, or to the setting it was in, like, Romania. Like, why are there robots and, like, all this cyber stuff? But yeah. Also, I did do a pencil portrait of her in about, like, 2021 or maybe 2022, and I'll show it right up there in the corner in case you want to see it. But yeah, it was definitely one of my better works, and I was definitely proud of it. So for my all-time favorite, I was stuck between two characters. Here I'm drawing Killua from Hunter x Hunter, but I was stuck between Killua and Karlach from Baldur's Gate 3, and I had to think, like, which one have I liked, I don't know, for longer. And since Baldur's Gate 3 only came out in, 2023, and I was in Hunter x Hunter during quarantine, 2020, I was like, okay, it's Killua, but I still love Karlach. She would be my second all-time favorite if I could pick, but for Killua, I feel like so many people went through a Hunter x Hunter phase during quarantine. Everybody was in on it, and I mean, my TikTok page back then was just filled with Hunter x Hunter content. Everybody was obsessed with it. It was so funny, especially with the Kurapika is now drowning in indescribable emptiness, and people would flush him down a toilet or something. That in itself is nostalgic. But for me, from that show, Killua was definitely my favorite character. I mean, Killua and Gon, I just love them. They're absolutely adorable. The dynamic, one tries to play off cool, even though, he is just a kid, so then Gon kind of brings that out in him, while, Killua kind of brings out, I don't know, that nonchalant, killer side in Gon. They bring out, the best in each other, I guess. And I love that dynamic between them. For this drawing, I'm gonna say that it was probably my least favorite, and I was expecting this one to take 45 minutes max. It took me an hour, which is again is not bad compared to the others, but I would definitely say that you have to trust the process on this one, just because the hair, it looks really funky, and I don't render it till later, and the way I went about it was not smart at all, because I feel when it comes to anime hair specifically that, you need to have a proper guideline, and I don't do line art, so I should have definitely thought that through better, because I spent a lot more time on the hair than I needed to, but it turned out fine in the end. It just it wasn't my favorite, but definitely Hunter x Hunter for me, it is my top favorite anime ever, out of my top 5, just because it has a feeling and kind of, I don't know, a nostalgic feeling to it, I guess, of comfort, because I don't know, it just really brought that. I will say, surprised that I have not finished it. I could not get myself through, I don't know if you say Chimera and Arc or Chimera, I'm pretty sure it's Chimera and Arc, but I just could not get myself through it because it was dragged out so long. I didn't want to deal with it, so I just kind of stopped. I promise I will finish it, and I actually really want to watch the there was a 1990s or early 2000s version, I don't know, something like that. I want to watch that because apparently it is a little bit different, so that should be really cool. But even though I haven't finished it, I can't wait for it to be continued, if it'll even be continued, because I mean, that anime has a really special place in my heart, and I feel for many people it does, just because again, that nostalgic feeling, it's really nice. But yeah, I did enjoy the process of doing his hair, even though it does not look like it. It just wasn't my favorite, I guess, compared to all the others that I did. this is the final 6. I thought that this challenge was really fun to do. I love talking about my interests. If you want to just comment your favorite one or dislike or anything, that'd be greatly appreciated. It took a lot of time, but yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to be posting soon.